15.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I am Krista Griffith. I'm a state representative and co-chair with Julie Devlin of the Aging in Place Working Group Subgroup that deals with financial and legal barriers. Today is Monday, November 15th, and we are meeting today to discuss, it's a kickoff meeting really, to narrow the focus of what our work will be in the coming months to discuss some of the legal and financial issues that impact seniors in their ability to stay in their homes. It's quite a broad topic. It looks like we're having a little bit of an issue this morning with getting a full subgroup committee together, but I'm so thankful that 4 of us have been able to join. So what we'll do today is start by introducing ourselves and then explain sort of what our interest and background is in this particular area of the subgroup, and then go into some of the issues. In the meantime, we hope others will join, and I do see we're having somebody new come in, so that's good. Good morning, Kimberly, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Is your camera able to work? Very good. Thank you. So again, I'm Krista Griffith, state representative for the 12th district, and I'm the co-chair of the actual Aging in Place working group, and I am co-chair of this subgroup based on my background, which prior to being a state representative, I served as the head of Attorney General Bill Biden's Senior Protection Initiative for several years when I worked at the Delaware Department of Justice. And in that role, I was lead prosecutor for elder abuse investigations and cases, and also chaired a multi-faceted task force representing healthcare professionals, law enforcement folks, attorneys, forensic nurses, et cetera, that looked at, essentially all issues surrounding protecting seniors. So I have a deep-seated interest in this topic, and my specific interest on this will be, and I'm an attorney, so that legal aspect interests me as well. So we'll be looking at that part of our group. And now I'm going to introduce Julie and ask Julie, co-chair, to say a few words too. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, and thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Devlin. I'm a senior planner with the Division of Services for Aging and Adults with Physical Disabilities, or DSAPIT, and I'm also the legal services developer for the state. And what that is, our big federal funding source, the Older Americans Act, designates a legal services or legal assistance developer in all 50 states and all of the territories in the United States. And so for Delaware, I've been assigned that position. And my role is to help those who are aging, so 60 and older, advocate for legal services. I also work with the Delaware State Bar in doing continuing legal education around senior issues, and also make sure that services are available for seniors as they age. And one of the services that we offer is a legal services program that is run through Community Legal Aid Society, or CLASSY, and that's available to anybody 60 and older. And that's one of the programs I help advocate for. And I'm also part of the Senior Protection Initiative that Representative Griffith spoke about. And I do a bunch of stuff, but I also help do a lot of planning related to adult protective services. And that's one of the things that's been discussed in the Aging in Place work group. And for this specific subgroup related to exploitation. And so I manage a couple grants related to that. And so my interests are varied. I'm also an attorney by trade. And so legal is definitely my background as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, good morning, Amy. Amy, if you could introduce yourself and tell us where you work and why this particular subgroup is of interest to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Milligan. I am the Executive Director of St. Francis Life, which is a PACE program, which means a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. We partnered with the state to start this program back, it's been 9 years now, with the goal of having additional community-based services for the elderly that maybe would like to remain in their home throughout their life versus a nursing home. So we support the elderly in all facets related to social and medical needs. So we have a 27,000 square foot facility on the riverfront, and we just opened one on College Avenue in Newark. And within that business, we have the primary care program, a rehab program, adult day, transportation, nutrition, social work, and home care. And they're all businesses that work together to help the elderly remain in the community. I am very committed to getting them the quality care and services they need. And as many of us have found, either through caring for our parents or being in a supportive role in the community with aging, that being able to stay with your family, with your stuff and your home is oftentimes a last phase of life goal. And so we try to do that for those people in Delaware. And it's a very, it's a mission-based program, and it's a wonderful commitment. And the fact that we just opened a second site in Newark allows us to maybe service another 250 people. So the barriers for the elderly in the community are, many, and these two particular areas of interest, because we do deal with some of the financial and legal risks that our members go through in trying to be independent in the community.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Jamie, good morning. Same questions to you.
Hi, good morning. Again, I apologize for my voice. I am, again, Jamie Ramage. I'm the owner of a home health aid only licensed agency here in Delaware. It's called Comfort Keepers. I provide care in both Newcastle and Kent County. I'm also on this work group from the perspective of, you'll hear DOC, that's the acronym for the Delaware Association for Home and Community Care. So I'm the president of the board of that group. And so that DOC represents from, I think I'm gonna say more than 60 licensed agencies, and that covers the 3 levels of licensure, which is personal assistance services agencies, home health aid only agencies, as well as skilled care agencies. And there are also hospice. So those are the core members of our association. So we represent home care from all levels of licensure. And I'm coming, to this board with not only representing them, but also from, the experience of my own agency as well. My background prior to this was consulting. So in all honesty, I don't know exactly how I got on this subgroup, but it's all good. We wanted to have DOC representation on all the various subgroups.
Well, it's great. It's wonderful to have you. And I'm sure with running the business that you run and interacting with your clients, that you're going to have some anecdotal evidence for us to consider in terms of these barriers. And I think
absolutely. And I also take on both Medicaid waiver clients as well as private pay clients. So I can talk to those 2 different aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And good morning, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us. And if you could please introduce yourself, tell us where you work and why legal and financial barriers to aging in place is an important topic for you.
Sure, thank you. I'm Kim Roman. I am the Director of Care Transitions for Christiana Care Home Health. We are both Medicare certified and non-certified agency caring for over 1,500 patients statewide. We support the state's largest health system with their transitions from the acute care to home, and being the contact for a lot of those case managers or acute care providers. I experience a lot of the work that goes into overcoming the barriers to transition our patients back to home, or likewise, when we have primary care practices that are trying to keep their patients at home and avoiding the hospitals, helping them find resources to overcome those barriers as well. And those barriers are not always medical care or healthcare related. There's a lot of psychosocial issues that people need to overcome to allow them to stay at home. And one of the lessons learned through the COVID-19 pandemic was that any care that we can provide in the home should be provided in the home as our citizens age and want to age in place. And even if it's not in their own home, I am a nurse. I've worked in post-acute care for 25 years, both in the community with home health and hospice. But I also spend some time in licensed care, like assisted livings and in independent living communities. And so I know the natural progression of someone who is not able to remain in their home, yet isn't appropriate for skilled nursing. So those little gray areas where people call home, and have kind of done some of that work in the community as well to support those transitions. So oftentimes financial resources, not only for living accommodations, but home repairs or transportation, all become barriers. So I am an advocate for the elderly, both professionally and personally, having my own experience with my own family members who aged in place and moved through the transitions. And I'm excited to be part of the group.
Thank you, Kim, and we're excited to have you. Wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'm now looking forward to introducing Robin. Robin Mooney, good morning. Welcome to the subgroup. If you could introduce yourself, let us know where you work and what your interest is in terms of our work here in the subgroup, which is looking at the legal and financial barriers to aging in place. Would you mind unmuting, Robin? Sorry. Thank you.
That'd be a good idea, right? Hi, my name is Robin Mooney. I own Carpe Vita Home Care. We are a non-medical, licensed in the state of Delaware, home health aid only agency, just like Jamie at Comfort Keepers. I also sit on the board of directors for the DHCC. And we also take Medicaid clients and private pay. And I guess the reason I'm interested in being on this subcommittee is that I do find in our private pay clients that cost is a barrier for people to get non-medical home care. A lot of them think that Medicare is going to cover, and it does not. So there's so many people that need this kind of help in the home, and then they end up not getting it because they can't afford to pay for it. So I'm excited to see what we can do here.
Excellent, excellent points. Thank you. Thank you all. We have a wonderful group, and I know that there are others who aren't with us today who will hopefully be at the next one, and we can get started. Julie, before we turn to the next item, is there anything that you wanted to say regarding our committee and some of the priorities that we're going to be looking at?
No, just that I'm excited for the recommendations that will come out of this specific subgroup. I think it's really important for us to address the financial barriers. Our division hears that the most. People come to us because they're not on Medicaid and they can't afford private pay. And you probably heard we have waiting lists. We can't, unfortunately, serve everybody because of our limited budget as much as we want to serve people. And so we're very interested in ensuring that people are able to get the services that they need in order to age in place.
Terrific, thank you. So the next item on our agenda is looking at the expectations and the timeline of our work. Earlier in our call, I talked about the broadness of our title of our subgroup. And I want us to be effective and efficient with our time and really be able to produce some recommendations that we will be able to roll out in a way. And if we can't, and if it's not legislative changes, something that we can enact between agencies to really assist seniors and help with their independence and deal with some of those issues that, especially those that Robin just mentioned, with not, the private pay, not being able to afford certain things that would help them, and not knowing what is covered and what isn't. To me, a lot of the issues surround communication and really having a clear grasp on what is covered for folks and what isn't, and how do people know what that information is. It seems like, and I don't know if this is true for, and if it's true, maybe you could nod your head or say no or disagree, but it seems like so many families, when they go through this, have to reinvent the wheel every single time because they don't know. And so the time and the process that it takes to educate individuals going through this is, and it's happening a lot of times at some of the worst possible times in their lives, when they aren't able to handle all of the information at once. So I'd like for us to really be able to narrow in on some top five, some top five issues that we would like to see fixed. And so I think my thought is, between now and our next meeting, which we'll work on setting up at the end of the meeting today, we should look at each of us spending some time between now and that next meeting and kind of thinking hard about what are the top 5 barriers, legal or financial, that you see in your daily work and experiences that impact seniors. So that's the thought I have. Any comments on that idea?
I think we can all come up with 5. There's a lot.
And if you need 10, it's okay, or 20. I mean, really, I think there's gonna go for the list. Don't stop, like brainstorm with the list,
Yeah.
and get the list. What I'm thinking is, once we get our list, we're gonna have some crossover. And when we have that crossover, then we'll know more really what areas we need to really hone in on. But yeah, no, I agree, Amy. I think that, I didn't mean to say 5. What we'll do is come up with a 5 or 10, something like
Right.
that. Julie.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm thinking in my head all the different things. And I do agree with you, Representative Griffith, that communication is one of the big barriers that we see from our perspective at DSAPA, especially when it comes to the legal side of things. As well as having a proactive approach to when we're thinking of legal, because that can help solve some of the financial barriers that we often see when people are in crisis. So.
Do you think, Julie, that it would be, and then this is the other question. So we see everybody here. Have you thought of is anyone here on this call thought of colleagues that you think would be wonderful additions to this group? And if you do think of anybody that has, be it an attorney maybe who handles private cases a lot, or someone in law enforcement that handles the investigation aspects or whatever it is. That's the other area of homework. Certainly, because we're a subgroup, we have some more leeway in terms of having membership on this group. And so I think if there are folks that you think are not at the table here on this subgroup, in addition to the list that you're coming up with in terms of the barriers, think of those people too, and let me know and Julie know if there are any other individuals that you think would really help our conversation and boost our ability to get some things accomplished. Because sometimes I think groups come together, but then there's always like, oh, but I know somebody over here is excellent at this and they want to participate. I really want to try to avoid those silo issues that happen with so many different groups and organizations. What do you think of that idea?
Can I ask, has an elder law attorney group been invited? When I think of Medicaid waiver, I'll just give you my little spiel, because there are some clients, like Robin says, they call in and they can start with private pay initially, but they want to get set up with Medicaid waiver. And I literally say to them, I know enough to be dangerous. I know there are multiple ways to become eligible, depending upon their resources. Sometimes they can use an elder law attorney to get things set up. Otherwise, there's another company I've referred to before called Medicaid Plus that I don't think is as pricey as an elder law attorney, but apparently helps them to get the application set up, filled out, all the supporting documentation together, etc. And then I think, so if you go from elder law attorney to like a service like Medicaid Plus down to maybe a case manager or a social worker that would help to do that at no cost.
So I reached out to the elder law section of the Delaware Bar, the president or the chair of the section currently. And then I also reached out to the person who runs the elder law program at Classy that we fund as a division. Okay. And so I haven't heard back from them yet, but I'm hopeful that that's both of them or somebody else that they're associated with will join this subgroup.
Gotcha. I think that would be beneficial.
Excellent point, Jamie, and thank you, Julie, for taking those additional steps to do that. DVLS also has a seniors issue. Jackie Chacona might be somebody that we can consider inviting to. All right, so that's another. So there's two. We're just starting the meeting, and usually homework comes at the end, but since this is a kickoff meeting, I think it's okay. All right, so those are the two things for the expectations, and the timeline is, I think, we'll really look at working hard in the next 4 months to come up with some good recommendations and some good ideas to improve things. In terms of the meeting time, how is this time generally on a Monday for everybody? Yes, no, thumbs up. Do we need to send out? I'd like to try to get something consistent on our calendar. I'm not wedded to Mondays at 11, but if this works, then we could look at that. So let's just go around the room. Julie, how is this date and time for you?
Wonderful, but I'm flexible.
Okay. Jamie? Yes.
I'm good. I mean, Mondays, every day is a Monday sometimes.
How about Amy, Robin, Kim?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think one of the things that happens to me sometimes is I might have to leave a little early because I get something else that I have to do. But this is fine.
Okay.
I'm with Jamie. Mondays and not always great, but I can make it work. And then I have friends like Jamie who will text me and say, "You're going to get on the call."
Okay, that's terrific. And Kim,
because I get caught up in the Monday.
And this can work for me too. Once it's on the calendar, then no one else would be able to put anything in this spot. So I'm good.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to propose our next meeting be November 29th at 11, which is a Monday. I just will make sure I'll have the double check with Will to make sure I'm not violating any FOIA notice requirements. I think it's 10 days, but if it's 2 weeks plus, we may have to look at a different date, but we will follow up with that at the next, we will follow up with that in an email to everybody. Okay, with that, we have on our agenda a discussion of available services and eligibility requirements. Julie, I'm putting on the spot. I'm going to turn this over to you to see how you want to address this particular issue that's on our agenda. Again, I think it's one that's going to probably be a standing agenda item because we're going to have to dive into it. One thing I'm wondering is if you have any ideas on which programs we need to focus the most on to have come up to understanding on.
Yeah, I mean, I was coming at it from what kind of services that we offer through the state that anybody who is 60 and older can utilize. And so it doesn't matter, what your funding is like, what kind of resources that you have, you're eligible for our services. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions out there about state services. They think, it's really when you really need the help is when you do it, but DSAPIT, especially our elder law program, anybody can do it. And it doesn't matter what kind of resources or income that you have. And I think that is the biggest thing I want to get across, because we could be utilizing that program more efficiently, I think. And Classy does a great job with our elder law program. I don't want to say that they don't, but it can really help people plan out their future care needs, including staying at home longer so that they're not institutionalized if that's what they choose. And I know that there's other programs out there. And so, but we offer a lot of our services, like I said, under the Older Americans Act. If you're 60 and older, you qualify. And if you're a Delaware resident.
That's terrific. And for those who are watching, or will watch this recording later, can you just give us sort of an overview of all the array of services that DSAPIT provides?
So we provide a ton of home and community-based services that if you're 60 and older, you can participate in. And that's everything from home delivered meals like Meals on Wheels to congregate meals where you would go to, say, a senior center like Cheer or Modern Maturity and do communal dining with people. We also offer personal care, legal services like I mentioned, ERS, emergency response system, which is like the pendant that people wear. I've fallen and I can't get up. We have that. Several community programs where we get people out in the communities to socialize. Obviously, it looks a little bit different with COVID, but we're making it work. We support senior centers. We have caregiver services, adult day services. We also provide respite for caregivers of all ages who work with or who are caring for their loved ones that are 60 and older. Trying to think, we really have a lot, and we have adult protective services. And so if you come across any kind of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of someone 60 or older, or someone who has disabilities, you would call our division and we would respond to that and look into those allegations. But we also do the Aging and Disability Resource Center, which I think is really important to know about for anybody who is aging or just needs to ask questions. So that's a call line that they can call, and it's 1-800-223 9074. And any kind of questions, not just about our services, but any services in the Delaware Aging Network or Disability Network, they can call. And I need help with my long-term care Medicaid application, and they can connect them with someone to help them with that, or any kind of services, including private pay services.
Can you repeat that phone number?
Sure, and I'll put it in the chat box too. I can't put it in the chat box, but it's 1-800-223-9074.
Now, for providers that are on our subcommittee, is any of this information that Julie gave, did you know all of it, or is some of it new to you? Is this, how are you, and because you're experts here and on the front lines in a lot of ways. So are you aware of all of the services that DSAPIT provides? And if not, which ones are you not familiar with? Because it seems that then we need to, as a state, to do better communicate that to you?
I'm aware of them just from what we do because we have a lot of, we work with some of these services. But I do think you're right. It is not necessarily universal knowledge, especially with the elderly population, that these services are available.
This is Kim Roman. Oh, I'm sorry. And I am also just wanted to add, I'm aware of many of these services, but listening to Julie made me consider my social workers and colleagues also aware, because a lot of this is what we may do or discharge our home care clients with some of these loose ends hanging. So I'm wondering, is the healthcare community also aware?
Yeah, and I'll just add, we also have a care transitions unit that worked with people who are leaving the facility, a long-term care facility, to go back home, or leaving a hospital to go to a long-term care facility or hospital to home and need services in the community. And it's a small but mighty unit of ours, but we definitely have that available, and we're required to based on our federal funding.
And I was just going to chime in to say I pretty much was aware of the services. Correct me if I'm wrong, and let me give you a little background. I'm not a Delawarean. I'm actually live in Pennsylvania, still do, and come down. So I was new to Delaware 7 years ago when my husband and I bought the business, and so to learn it all, I've been just drinking from the fire hose, if you will. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there used to be this big book. I don't think it's a big book that's published anymore, but is that what you're talking about in terms of?
So we produced the Guide to Services, which is probably what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
The last time we published it was, I believe, right before the pandemic, maybe a couple months before the pandemic. We still have copies available. So you would just call that 1-800 number if you want more copies of it. Okay. So we have that, and that goes through, any service out there, private pay, not private pay. It's not all inclusive, but it's a published book, and we're going to continue publishing it. So we just do it like every couple of years because it's a costly thing.
Gotcha.
And then if you go to DelawareADRC.com, it's a searchable database for all the types of resources that are in that guide, plus additional ones, and that's up to date. It's continuously updated.
Okay.
Yeah, the guide. Yeah, right. The guide's online, right, Julie?
The guide is also online at the DeSapit website.
I've used that book since I started my career in all the iterations. Now I just kind of send the online link to some staff.
Yeah, right. And if you need hard copies, just let us know. We have a whole closet full right now.
Yeah, that's what was initially given to me as a really great resource. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. Can I ask, is 211 still a thing, and is that associated with your group as well?
So 211 is still very much a thing. It's a hybrid program with the state and United Way. And it's not the same thing as our Aging and Disability Resource Center, which is fully staffed by state employees. However, through the pandemic, we're leveraging partnerships with 211, and they're actually going to start running our website in the coming months for the ADRC. And so you'll be able to access aging services and disability services right through the 211 website and get real-time data on the type of services that people are getting.
And Julie, could you please have your staff send 62 of those books over to the General Assembly?
I can do that, absolutely.
That would be wonderful. And to every senator and representative, that would be great. Now, something that caught my eye, I am on a listserv regarding still elder abuse, even though it's been a long time since I've been involved. But the good thing about this listserv is it lists legislation occurring in states across the country on a variety of topics related to elder care, staying at home, et cetera. And one piece of legislation caught my eye. Illinois in August of this year passed a law that requires their state's Division of Aging to include a fact sheet with the toll-free numbers and access information to seniors for various health conditions, elder abuse, and such programs that DSAPID offers. So, even though here in Delaware, I think we provide the websites for those things to our seniors, actually having that fact sheet in hand, especially for those who are not as adept at technology as others, was something that the Illinois General Assembly thought would be helpful. So I'm going to send some information to this subgroup to discuss more fully at the next meeting. But I think it goes to that communication piece. I certainly, sometimes you hand paper out and it just goes in the trash. I don't want it to become something like that. But, looking at sort of creative, useful tools to be able to explain more about what programs exist. Again, this is a fact sheet to those home delivered meal recipients. And it's done as a practical means to increase awareness of state resources and services, particularly for those individuals not comfortable with technology. So I think there are, through our, about 6,200 seniors are receiving Meals on Wheels programs. So that's a very large group of people who might benefit from that. So any thoughts on that particular idea?
I think that's a great idea. And our division has utilized putting things in the meals boxes in the past. I specifically remember a brochure related to financial exploitation because we had a grant available that we could do that, but I don't see why we wouldn't be able to put other information in the boxes. It's pretty easy.
I was just going to chime in with, from a regulation standpoint, we need to include in our in-home packet for our clients that we get set up with service, the phone number for, I'm going to call it like the Office of Licensing and Facilities. So it's not necessarily DSAPID's phone number, but it's a number where they would report any concerns or complaints. So from a regulatory perspective, we have to do that. And then the state had asked us to include some like emergency preparedness type of literature to them. And the state, I want to say it was called the Buddy.
Fairness Buddy.
The Buddy. Okay. Yeah. See, I know enough to be dangerous, Julie. Let's just try to keep it all straight. So they have this buddy paper that they had provided, or agencies could pretty much do a derivation of their own with similar information. So I know that is in the works or it already in the hands and in the packets that go out to our clients, but it might be nice to have something standard across the board.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. Thanks, Jamie. Are there any presentations that anybody on our subgroup would like to know more about? Are there any organizations that you want to know more from in terms of services that are out there?
One thing that would be helpful is if you remind us the other subcommittees, because I'm trying to get my head around our goal versus theirs. So I guess I can go back and read, but
no, Amy, that's a good point. I was actually trying to search that. I was actually looking for that specific document. I think it went out one time with the various descriptions. So we'll circulate that again. Again, I think what we really need, what we're going to be doing at our next meeting is really honing in on what our objectives and goals are to make sure that it's a manageable subject, because again, I think we could spend 20 years on legal and financial barriers to aging in place, and then we're going to be aging in place by the time that we get there. So let's do that, and then we'll that's a great point. We'll send that out. Julie, is there anything else regarding that part of part 4 of our agenda, which is available services and eligibility requirements.
No, and I think that once we figure out, the top 5 or 10 issues, it's going to be more helpful for us to talk about the services that really hone in on those issues.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like once we pick those topics, then it is possible that based on all you said, Julie, we might want a little more detail about some piece of it, of what's available.
Okay. Well, I think we have, the good thing about today is our meeting is going to be a lot shorter than probably our other ones. So I'm a big proponent of using time wisely and not having everyone stick around for an hour and a half just because. So, because I know you have a lot to do and a lot of people to serve. We are now at the section of public comment. So Mike, if you could please let us know if there's anybody on who, other than the 9 of us here, is there any other individuals? If you could please give the notice about public comment, that would be great.
If you'd like to use the public comment, if you'd like to participate in public comment section, please use the raise hand function. Doesn't appear to be anyone who would like to participate in the public comment portion.
All right. All right, thank you. And then I'm just going to provide this note. If anybody who would like to submit public comment, you may also do so by sending comments to Caitlin Del Calo of Senate staff, and her email is CAITLINDELCOLLO@delaware.gov. Again, it's Caitlin Del Calo at delaware.gov, CAITLINDELCOLLO@delaware.gov. Okay, so with that, we're at our closing comments. And again, I think like we began, we'll end as we begin and just go around the room, and I'll try to do it in reverse order. So Robin, I'm going to start with you in terms of our closing comments to see if there's anything specific you want us to handle on the 29th and any of your thoughts regarding our objectives for this group.
I don't really have anything else to say. I think that this is a really good start, and I'm happy to see that we're going to make some progress in making things affordable and accessible for those who really need it.
Excellent, thank you, Robin. And Kim?
I'm with Robin. This has really been a very helpful first session for me. And it gives me just not only the opportunity to help participate, but start to think about how this information could be shared with other professionals that are in the homes caring for the people that we hope to most support. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Jamie?
Thank you. The only other thing I was going to share, thank you for your time and everything today. I think it's been a good first meeting. I had, prior to the start of the meeting, I printed off the subgroups and the objectives. And the only thing that I feel like we might not have really, dived into is the review of state regulation. I'm just going to read it off. It was on this the subgroup definition. Review state regulations and licensure procedures and identify any policies that hinder the provision of services significantly more than they benefit. So I don't know that we've really honed in on that aspect. But I do feel that there's some, maybe some low-hanging fruit there.
All right, great point. We will add that to our agenda for discussion for the 29th, Julie. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Amy? Thank you for your time.
Amy? Amy, it says you're not on mute, but we can't hear you.
No, here I am. Sorry, I was on my phone. I agree with Jamie. I think for me, we need to hone in still on what we're going to do, and then the detail, for instance, what you were saying, Jamie, I think is going to be critical. for me, I'm just trying to figure out where what we're doing might end and what really is included in this particular thing. So I think when everybody comes back with their priorities, I think that will help. And then we can say, we need more information on this and this and this. So that's good.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy. And Julie.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. I'm also interested in what's happening around the country. What are the promising practices related to aging in place? And, you know, how states are helping people afford to age in place. I know Washington has a great model. And so, you know, I plan on doing some homework around that as well, and seeing what kind of policies are out there, legislation that's out there.
Wonderful. I love that idea of looking at what other jurisdictions are doing. And we might even be able to, when doing your homework, if you find a leader out there in Washington that's really led the charge on this, we could invite him or her to participate in one of our future meetings and then give everybody an opportunity in advance to sort of learn about the Washington State program. And then when that person comes on, we can have some really good questions for them to help us. Well, this has been terrific. Thank you. I think we have a really terrific group here. I'm looking forward to our work and our, you know, being pragmatic and helpful and really looking at those issues that present barriers that we can actually help move. I really believe that we can do that as part of this group. So that's a tremendous honor for me to help on given. I think we've all seen the horror stories and what can be really difficult and heartbreaking. And to the extent that we can change some of that is terrific. So again, our homework for the next meeting is to really come up with that brainstorm list of the biggest things that you see as barriers for individuals staying in their home in a legal financial world. Any colleagues of yours or others that you admire in this work that you think would be helpful to join us. And then any other topic that you think we need to cover. We discussed the regulation piece that will be on our next agenda, but if there's something in the meantime that you also want to add, would be terrific. And our next meeting, barring any barriers to FOIA, which I'll confirm after this meeting, will be November 29th at 11. So if you could, I think to be productive, it's helpful to have that information shared with one another. I'll have myself or my staff send out an email asking you to send in to Julie and I your list, your brainstorm list, so that we could share that with you as a group next week, or excuse me, 2 weeks from today, so you can see it. So if it's possible, and I know Thanksgiving's coming up, but if you could get that to us by a week from Wednesday, that would be terrific. And that way we have a few days to be able to share it with you in advance of Monday's meeting. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody. And that, I believe, concludes our meeting today. I'm going to turn it over to DTI to see what it is we need to do at this point to sign off. Can our friends at DTI help with that?
You just let me know when the stream is over. I'll end the live and you guys can all pop out and do what you got to do.
Okay. Well, I think the stream is over at 11:59 a.m.
Thank you.